There's a man named Adam who lives alone in an apartment in Chicago with a 4-year-old yellow Labrador named Emma. Emma is not a dramatic dog. She doesn't howl when Adam leaves. She doesn't destroy the furniture. He just waits. Every single day when Adam gets home from work, Emma is sitting by the door. Not barking, not spinning, just sitting there. Tail doing this slow, steady wag like she'd been counting down the minutes. And one evening, Adam had the worst day of his professional life. Lost a client, got pulled into a meeting that ended his project, sat in traffic for 2 hours staring at brake lights. He walked through his front door feeling completely hollow, and Emma did something she'd never done before. She didn't go for the leash, didn't nudge her food bowl. She just walked over, pressed the full weight of her body against Adam's legs, and stayed there. Silent. Still. Adam sat down on the floor right there in the hallway, and Emma climbed into his lap, all 65 pounds of her, and just held on. Adam told this story to a friend later and said, "I think he knew something was wrong." And he was right. But he was also massively underselling it, because what Emma was actually doing in that hallway has nothing to do with instinct or luck or the vague idea that dogs are empathetic. It has everything to do with neuroscience. And by the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly what was running inside Emma's brain in that moment, and whether she actually knows, in any meaningful sense, that Adam loves her back. Here's the problem with most of what you'll find online about this topic. You'll get one of two answers. Either, yes, obviously dogs totally feel love, look at this cute video, or a very clinical, dogs don't have complex emotions, they just respond to reinforcement. Both of those answers are lazy, and both of them ignore what we've actually learned in the last 15 years of neuroscience research specifically on dogs. So let's do this properly. Let's start with what your dog is even capable of feeling, then talk about what they understand about you. And then, this is the part I find the most remarkable, talk about what happens inside a dog's brain when they're with the person they've chosen. Because the answer to, does your dog know you love them, is yes. Just not in the way you're picturing. For most of the 20th century, the scientific consensus was essentially this. Dogs don't have feelings the way we do. They have drives, hunger, fear, the urge to reproduce. Emotions, real ones, were considered a human luxury. That consensus is gone. In 2012, a group of neuroscientists signed what's now called the Cambridge Declaration on Consciousness. The document stated formally that non-human animals, including all mammals and birds, possess the neurological structures that generate conscious states. In plain English, they feel things. Not metaphorically, not approximately. They feel things. And dogs specifically have a limbic system, the emotional core of the brain, that is structurally almost identical to ours. The same regions light up in a dog's brain when they experience fear, excitement, attachment, and loss as light up in a human brain during those same states. So when Emma pressed herself against Adam's legs that evening, she wasn't performing a behavior she'd been trained into. She was responding to something she felt. The question is, what did she feel? And how did she know something was wrong in the first place? This is the part that genuinely should floor you. Your dog has been studying you. Not casually, not the way you might notice a neighbor's habits, obsessively, continuously, with a system of perception that runs in parallel channels you don't have access to at all. Channel 1 is your face. In 2015, researchers in Helsinki published a study where they showed dogs' photographs, human faces with happy expressions and human faces with angry expressions. Dogs' eyes moved toward the faces the same way human eyes do when reading emotion. The angry faces triggered a stress response. The happy faces did not. Your dog is reading your facial expressions in real time, every time you look at them, and filing those signals away. Channel 2 is your voice. A study out of Budapest in 2016 used brain scanning to show that dogs process the emotional tone of your voice in the right hemisphere of their brain, which is exactly where humans process emotional tone. And they process the meaning of your words in the left hemisphere, again, same as us. They're not just hearing sound, they're parsing what you're saying and how you feel about it simultaneously as two separate streams of information. Channel 3, and this is the one most people don't think about, it is your chemistry. Your body produces volatile organic compounds, trace chemicals that drift off your skin and breath. When you're stressed, that chemical signature changes measurably. When you're grieving, it changes. When you're in physical pain, it changes. A Labrador's nose has around 300 million olfactory receptors. You have about 5 million. They can detect changes in your body chemistry that you cannot detect in yourself. That evening Adam walked through the door. Emma didn't just see that his face looked tired. She smelled that his cortisol was elevated. She was reading a distress signal Adam didn't even know he was broadcasting. 3 channels. All running at once. All day. Every day. That's not a pet who vaguely senses your moods. That's an instrument that has been tuned to you specifically over months and years that tracks your emotional state with more precision than most humans in your life manage. Now here's where it gets strange, because what I've described so far is your dog reading you, perceiving you. But does any of that translate into something we'd recognize as love? Does Emma know that Adam loves her? Let me tell you about a study that answers this more directly than anything else I've found. A team at Azabu University in Japan brought dogs and their owners into a room and let them spend 30 minutes together, just hanging out, petting, talking, making eye contact. Before and after, they collected urine samples from both the dogs and the humans. They were measuring oxytocin, sometimes called the bonding hormone. It's the same chemical that floods a mother's brain during skin-to-skin contact with her newborn. The chemical, quite literally, of love and attachment. Here's what they found. Dogs who spent more of those 30 minutes gazing into their owner's eyes had significantly higher oxytocin levels afterward, but it wasn't one-directional. The owner's oxytocin spiked too. The dog's gaze triggered the human's chemistry. The human's softened response, the voice change, the reaching out, triggered the dog's chemistry back. A loop. Running in both directions, getting stronger each time it fired. Then they ran the same protocol with hand-reared wolves. Wolves who had been raised by humans since birth. Wolves who were completely comfortable with people. And the wolves did not hold sustained eye contact with their handlers. No oxytocin loop activated, not in the wolves, not in the humans. This mechanism doesn't exist between wolves and people. It evolved specifically in dogs during domestication, and it targets the exact chemical system that bonds parents to children. So when Emma looks at Adam, really holds that gaze for a beat longer than she needs to, that's not a Labrador being her usual goofy, soft-eyed self. That's a biological system that Emma's species developed specifically to bond with yours, firing exactly as intended. Your dog didn't learn to love you. They evolved too. But there's one more piece of this I have to show you, because it's the one that finally, rigorously answers the question. A neuroscientist named Gregory Burns spent years training dogs to lie still inside an fMRI scanner, awake, unrestrained, no sedation, so he could watch their brains respond to the world in real time. His team eventually ran over 100 dogs through the scanner. Several of them were Labradors. In one key experiment, they trained 13 dogs to associate one object with food and a different object with verbal praise from their owner. Then they scanned their brains in response to both. In the majority of those dogs, the caudate nucleus, the brain region associated with anticipating something rewarding and good, responded to their owner's praise with equal or greater intensity than it did to food. To food, the thing dogs are supposedly entirely motivated by. The thing we assume is the center of their universe. In most dogs, you outscored it. Burns went further. He set up a maze, food down one path, the dog's person at the end of the other. 20 trials. Most dogs went to their person, and the brain scans predicted it perfectly. The dogs, whose caudate nucleus lit up brighter for praise, were exactly the ones who chose the human. Over the bowl, trial after trial. Your dog isn't just trained to be near you. Your dog's brain chemically anticipates you the way it anticipates the best things in their world. You're not a caregiver to them. You are the reward. So let's go back to Adam and Emma. That evening in the hallway in Chicago, Emma heard the key in the lock and smelled the elevated cortisol before Adam even opened the door. She read Adam's face as he came in, the flat affect, the heavy movement, the eyes that weren't really seeing anything. She heard that the tone of Adam's footsteps was slower than usual. Every single channel was saying the same thing. Something is wrong with my person. And Emma's brain, running the system it evolved over thousands of years specifically to bond with humans, did exactly what that system is designed to do. She moved toward him. She made contact. She stayed. Adam thought Emma was being comforting. He was right. But underneath that, Emma's caudate nucleus was responding to Adam's presence even in that distressed state. The oxytocin loop was running. Emma wasn't just near the person who fills his bowl. She was near the specific individual her brain had spent 4 years learning, mapping, and chemically wiring itself to care about. Does Emma know that Adam loves her? Here's what I actually think that question means. Emma doesn't have the concept of love as an abstract idea. She doesn't stretch out on the couch thinking, Adam cares about me. But she has something that might be more reliable than that. She has 4 years of data. 4 years of Adam coming back. Of the voice that goes soft when it says his name. Of the hand that reaches down in the dark. Of the chemical signature that means safe and home and mine. Emma doesn't know the word love, but she knows Adam, more completely in some ways than Adam knows himself. And that evening in the hallway, when Emma climbed into his lap and held on, that wasn't a dog guessing. That was a dog who knew exactly who she was with, exactly what that person needed, and exactly where she was going to be until it was better. The next time your dog holds your gaze a little longer than they need to, I want you to remember what's actually happening. That's not just a cute Labrador face. That's a bonding loop your dog species developed specifically to connect with yours, running exactly as it was designed to. They don't love you the way another human loves you. They love you in a way that evolution spent thousands of years building from scratch, targeted precisely at you. That's not nothing. That's extraordinary. If you have a moment like Adam's, a time your dog seemed to know exactly what you needed before you said a word, tell me in the comments. We will read every single one. If you enjoyed this video, we would be happy if you would follow our channel. See you in the next one.